Hello again, everyone. So, trying to get some of these videos done before this weekend with the hurricane and everything. So I figured, okay, let's get another one done. Let's see if I can get it done tonight. So here we are. I guess we're just going down the list now. So today is Patrick's team. Patrick had the 13th pick right before Brian. I just did Brian's review. So now we're doing Patrick's, and let's just jump right in. So, first round. Patrick took Detroit running back Kerryon Johnson. This is kind of indicative of the kind of draft Patrick has. I think Kerryon Johnson has a lot of talent. I think he's a tremendous player. I don't know if he can stay healthy, which is kind of why, there were other players I might have taken over him. Case in point, right behind this pick, Brian takes Chris Carson. And I had Carson as my 14th running back on the board. I have Kerryon Johnson as the 18th. I actually have Devontae Freeman, Damian Williams, and Leonard Fournette, who all ended up going later, ahead of him. And the reason for that is because, each of those guys has injury history. Patrick would know he had Freeman, and Freeman got hurt. And obviously, Fournette was injury prone last year for me. Kerryon hasn't shown it. At least, Fournette has, he had the 2017 year where he was showing out. Freeman was the number one running back in 2016. Johnson hasn't been healthy the last couple of years. So he's never really shown that true breakaway back. But among all the backs I just named, Johnson has probably the best opportunity to be a top 5 running back, because he has a team with a coach in Matt Patricia who's just going to run the ball down other people's throats and make no qualms about it. Whether you or I think Matthew Stafford is the most talented player on the team, which is exactly what I think, Kerryon Johnson's going to get the ball a ton. Fournette's got to deal with Nick Foles now. Devontae Freeman still got Matt Ryan and Julio. It is the Kerryon Johnson show in Detroit, even with Matt Stafford, Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay. No, it is the Kerryon Johnson show in Detroit now because they want to run the ball and control the clock and all the dumb things that coaches speak when they inefficiently try to pound the rock and win with tough defense and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, that's good for fantasy, though. So, Kerryon Johnson's the man. If he can stay healthy, it's worth it. If he's not, then that's why I have him lower than like Carson and the other guys, because I don't know. But it's classic Patrick, boom or bust. So here we go. That's classic Patrick, what he does. So, second pick. First wide receiver to come off the board, DeAndre Hopkins. How can I argue with that? Hopkins helped Andre win a championship a couple years ago. Hopkins is probably the number one. He's the number one receiver on my board. I was going to take OBJ over him, but that's biased because I like OBJ. Hopkins is the number one receiver on my board. He is the best receiver in fantasy football. He has been the last couple of years between him and Antonio Brown. He's just the most consistent wide receiver you can find. He's tremendous. And so, yeah, I can't really argue with that. It's incredible to me that he fell to the second round. I thought Hopkins for sure would have gone somewhere like ahead of Joe Mixon or Carson, or like Brian took like Sonny Michel ahead of Kerryon Johnson. Maybe even I would have taken him over James Conner. If Elliott doesn't fall to me, I'm taking either Hopkins or OBJ. So the fact that Hopkins fell all the way to the second round of Patrick is just wild to me. That is incredible value, incredible pick. Kerryon Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. If you basically flip the picks, so I get DeAndre Hopkins in the first round, I get Kerryon Johnson in the second round. I can't argue with that. Even though it turned out the way it did, that's incredible start to your draft. Super big high upside, boom or bust. There's your core, amazing core. You can build a championship team around that. Next pick, Mike Evans. So, don't love the Bucs, despite the red today. But Evans is a really good player. And Bruce Arians, the Bucs' new coach, really wants to throw the ball a lot with Jameis Winston. Do I like Jameis Winston? No. Do I think Jameis Winston's going to be successful this year? Define successful. He might throw for a lot of yards. They might get a lot of touchdowns. Will they win a lot? Probably not, but they'll score. So I have Evans as my 9th best wide receiver. I think at the time, yeah, if I'm looking over it, like the top 7 receivers are all gone. So like, let's see. So Hopkins, you obviously picked. Devontae Adams is gone. Julio Jones is gone. Michael Thomas is gone. OBJ is gone. Antonio Brown's gone. Julian Edelman's gone. Who else got taken? Who else is a wide receiver that got high up there? So that's 7. I'm missing someone. Someone is missing. Oh, Juju. Yeah, forgot Juju. So yeah, 8. There's my top 8 receivers. Evans is 9. So right, exactly where you would expect him to be. Funny enough. So again, can't really argue with the value. I will say it's, oh gosh, I'm Tyreek Hill. Duh. Okay, so pull out Edelman, put in Tyreek Hill. There's my top 8. Okay, there we go. I was just like, Edelman's not my top 8. I know someone picked him before Mike Evans, but that doesn't sound right. So anyway, right around where you want to take him. This was really risky, though. I will say that. Because Brian ends up taking 2. You're hoping Brian takes 2 receivers, because what you're doing now is you went 1 running back, and now you're going 2 receivers. So you really, really got to take a running back on the turn. And you're really, really hoping Brian doesn't take a 3rd running back, which actually, since he took 2 in the first 2 rounds, isn't a bad bet. I think Brian would have been better served to take the running back that you ended up taking. But yeah, it was risky of you to take Mike Evans here, not because Mike Evans is a bad player, because I have him as the 9th best receiver. So for the value in late 3rd round, tremendous. That's super great starting core, but super risky because there's been a lot of running backs. There's been a run on running backs, so it wasn't like, oh, well, I could get another really good running back after the turn. Ooh, I don't know. There's not a lot of guys left, but, it worked out for you because 4th round, Brian takes 2 receivers, Robert Woods and Mike Williams. So there's your running back, Philip Lindsay. Look at that. I have Lindsay as the 23rd running back. I thought he had a very good season. Obviously, as an undrafted free agent rookie last year for the Broncos, came in like a storm and just lit it up. I think he'll have more competition this year. I did draft Royce Freeman last year thinking Royce Freeman would be a breakout running back, and boom, lo and behold, Philip Lindsay's the breakout running back, and Royce Freeman's the freaking handcuff. But Freeman's still there, and they spent a 3rd-round pick on him, so they still like him. They brought in Theo Riddick as well, and Devontae Booker's still there, so it's kind of a committee, but really, I would say Lindsay's going to soak up 60% of the carries, or of the work, counting the receptions. So you really need a running back. You need a starting running back. Ingram's gone. Henry's gone. Fournette's gone. Brian took Melvin Gordon for reasons unknown, but Melvin Gordon's gone. Devontae Freeman's gone. All of the other top running backs were taken in the 1st round. So, yeah. Lindsay's clearly the best running back on the board. You have to take a running back. It's a good pick. That's for the value. 4th round, 23rd running back. You need a running back. Perfect. If you told me I could start my team out with Kerryon Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, and Philip Lindsay, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's a core. That's a championship core. That's a home run first 4 picks. Home run. And then things kind of just get a little weird. They go a little sideways. Because then you take Vance McDonald in the 5th round. And I understand, maybe you really want a tight end. The first, 4 tight ends that you might have liked are all gone. So, Kelsey's gone. Ertz is gone. Is Evan Ingram gone? Well, actually, yeah, no. So yeah, Evan Ingram has just gone. OJ Howard's gone. So more than the first three. Like I guess the top five tight ends are gone now. So we're forgetting someone. I don't. George Kittle. Oh yeah. So 5 tight ends. So Kelsey, Kittle, Evan Ingram, OJ Howard, and Zach Ertz. So top 5 tight ends are gone. So what do we do? Look at the board. You decide to take Vance McDonald. Everyone around you takes a running back. I take Miles Sanders. As I mentioned in Brian's video, I like Miles Sanders, but we won't get into that. Rashad Penny is the pick before you. Jordan Howard's the pick behind you. Essentially, I don't like taking McDonald here. Duh. I have him as the 9th best tight end, so it was a reach. I don't think after basically that top 5, there's a drop-off between tight ends. I mean, I guess Hunter Henry would be my next tight end, and I like him. But after that, they're all kind of the same, like Greg Olsen, Tyler Eifert, Vance McDonald, Jared Cook. Like, it doesn't... They're just guys and offenses that happen to be good, or maybe you're hoping for a touchdown, and that's it. So to take him in the 5th round is just... You'd been better off taking whoever was going to start at your flex, and that's probably going to be the issue you're going to run into, because you took Vance McDonald here, who I have the 9th best, tight end, and then in the next round you took Ben Roethlisberger. Now I understand, you like Big Ben, and he's your guy, and, you want McDonald because he plays for the Steelers, and you want a tight end, he could be your guy. But there were only, up until this pick in the 6th round with Roethlisberger, there had been exactly 2 quarterbacks come off the board. 2. 1, Patrick Mahomes. Okay. The other being Kyler Murray to Eileen. So we're just going to kind of ignore that because that's the outlier. So really, no one has drafted a quarterback except for basically the elite Mahomes up until this point. You could have the pick of the litter. Chances are Roethlisberger falls to you maybe 2, 3 rounds later. I got Lamar Jackson in the 10th. Drew Brees went in the 10th round. I understand, again, maybe you really like Roethlisberger and you want to reach for him, but you could have waited. You probably could have waited at least a round. Probably 2 or 3. Maybe even 4. I don't know. But I didn't have Roethlisberger anywhere near this. Now, I understand, you want to get him, but again, this brings up the issue, who are you going to start at flex? And that's going to be the issue that we're about to go into. But I like Roethlisberger. I have him as a starting quarterback in our league. But, 9th best quarterback in the 6th round when there are literally 30 quarterbacks are available. 30 starting quarterbacks. I'll take a flex. I'll draft Roethlisberger in the next round or the round after. Tyler Lockett. I like me some Tyler Lockett this year. DJ Moore on Carolina. I like Curtis Samuel better, but, DJ Moore's a good player. You could have gotten Peyton Barber, maybe build up your running back depth. I don't like Peyton Barber, but, running back depth is important. Tyler Boyd on Cincinnati, who's going to be a starter now that AJ Green's hurt. Maybe you wanted like Calvin Ridley, who was really good for Atlanta last year. Maybe you didn't like anything on the board, and that's why you took Roethlisberger, but it's still a reach. These 2 picks are reaches. McDonald and Roethlisberger have no business being a 5th and 6th round pick. They're more like a 10th and 11th round pick, not 5th and 6th. So these were very, very big reaches, and I think you would have been better served figuring out your flex, because that leads me into your next 2 picks, which are Devin Singletary and LaShawn McCoy. So because you took McDonald in the 5th round, and because you took Roethlisberger in the 6th round, now we're hunting. We're hunting for a flex because we need a flex. And we gotta get running back depth. We're desperate for running back depth. Chances are Hopkins and Evans will be healthy the whole year. So we're not too worried about wide receiver, but we have to get running back depth now. We don't have a choice because we've boxed ourselves in by taking McDonald and taking Roethlisberger. So, do I like Devin Singletary as a talent? Yes. Is Buffalo a run-heavy offense? Yes. If it was 2020, I think Devin Singletary's the guy. I think he's going to be the workhorse back. That's why they drafted him in the 3rd round to go team with Josh Allen. And if it's next year, he's probably going to be a pretty high pick. But as things stand currently, LaShawn McCoy's still there making a lot of money, like $9 million a year. They signed Frank Gore in the offseason. They have TJ Yeldon. It's kind of like almost like a weird Patriots backfield because it's just a bunch of guys who can really play and then a young guy. I guess the only thing missing is there's no Sonny Michel on the Bills, but still, it's a lot of mouths to feed. And so you took Singletary, who I think by the end of the year will be the best running back on the Bills. I already think he is the best back on the Bills, but they're not. They're going to slowly ease him into it. And so you took him. I have him as the 54th running back just because I don't think he's going to offer very much early in the season because the Bills are going to cycle through running backs and try and figure out who the hot hand is and play the hot hand instead of talent. God, don't even get me started on Mike McCarthy and Aaron Jones and that hot hand crap. So I like Devin Singletary. I think he's the most talented running back in that backfield. This is a reach, but you kind of have to make this reach because you don't have any running back depth, and he's clearly the best running back you can reach for unless we're going like Kalen Ballage on Miami. And I do like Kalen Ballage. He was a starter, so maybe it would have been safer if you did that. But I guess we're investing in Buffalo, which is a run-heavy team, don't get me wrong, but I think their quarterback, White Cam Newton, Josh Allen, is going to soak up a lot of those rush yards and not any of the running backs. Which leads me to your next pick, which is, lo and behold, LaShawn McCoy. So, McCoy was not good last year. McCoy was very bad. McCoy played with Josh Allen. Did McCoy get the ball a lot? No. No, he did not. You know who ran the ball a lot? Josh Allen ran the ball a lot. It's almost kind of like those early Carolina Panthers with Cam Newton, a.k.a. this is why I call Josh Allen White Cam Newton, and, Jonathan Stewart, D'Angelo Williams. When Cam Newton came on the scene, who was getting those goal line touches? Cam Newton was getting those goal line touches. You know who really likes that? Whoever got Cam Newton. You know who doesn't like that? Whoever was starting D'Angelo Williams or Jonathan Stewart, because they're just like, hey, why is the quarterback getting all the touchdown runs? Well, because the quarterback's a freak of nature. So it's kind of the same thing with Josh Allen. McCoy probably still has quite a bit of talent. I mean, he's getting paid a lot of money. But is he that 250 carries, over 1,000-yard rushing, 10 touchdown guy? No, he's not anymore. And to get him in the 8th round, you're actually not hoping for that. You're just hoping for like 800 yards, maybe a couple hundred yards receiving. But he's not even that. He's not going to get that. So what are we talking here exactly? We're desperate for a running back. We want to kind of own the Buffalo backfield because there's nothing really better at this time. And so, yeah, I like that to kind of mitigate the risk. Oh, look at my hair. To kind of mitigate the risk, you took Singletary and McCoy back-to-back, so like maybe McCoy leads the team in rushing early in the season, and then Singletary finally gets his opportunity, kind of like Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb last year, and comes out of the woodwork and then shows out, which is ideal. But this isn't a one-back dominant offense that it's been in the past when they were running out like basically Nathan Peterman, or like the Tyrod Taylor offense where they were getting a lot of work. It's just not that. It's the Josh Allen show, and Josh Allen is going to run the ball, not the running backs. So I do like you got both of them though. So you own that backfield essentially. I mean, I guess Rich took Frank Gore, so Frank Gore will get some touches too. I really think they're going to cut somebody. probably TJ Yeldon, if not trade somebody, which is what you're hoping for, to free up some touches between a couple of the guys. But I really like Singletary's talent. I think McCoy can still play. He's just kind of trapped in Buffalo. But you got boxed in on these picks because you really needed running backs now, and this was the best you could do, and that's not great. It sucks. It sucks to have to probably start. You're probably starting McCoy as your flex right now, and I don't know what he's going to do, to be honest. I don't think he's going to get the goal line touches and score. Is he going to get like 15 carries? I don't know. And that level of variance makes him not a satisfying start at flex, and that's why, again, I would have much rather wait on Roethlisberger a round or two, especially considering no one else has drafted quarterbacks, and tried to fill the flex position before then, because now I'm starting probably McCoy at flex, because you're not very deep, so McCoy's probably going to be the guy, and it's not good. That is not good. We start out really hot, and then we kind of went off the rails, taking a tight end quarterback, and it's kind of screwed up the rest of the team. So then we take Jarvis Landry. Like Jarvis Landry, he gets a lot of volume, but there's a lot of mouths to feed in Cleveland. There's Nick Chubb, Odell Beckham Jr., David Njoku. Don't even get me started. When Kareem Hunt comes back in like week 10 or week 9, it's hard for me. You dug yourself in a hole. Again, you dug yourself in a hole taking McDonald and Roethlisberger. Now you're trying to make up for it. So you're taking Jarvis Landry, and Landry doesn't have a whole lot of upside. He's a very safe guy. He'll get volume. He'll probably get like 6 catches a game, but I don't think he's getting more than 50 yards a game, and he doesn't hit pay dirt. He doesn't get touchdowns. So he has very little upside. I would have... It's hard because on the one hand, like, there were players on the board I'd much rather have, like Emmanuel Sanders or Dede Westbrook, who are number 1 receivers in those offenses, whereas Landry isn't a good offense, but he's like the 3rd or 4th option in said offense. So I like Jarvis Landry, but I have him as the 37th wide receiver just because out of pure volume, the other guys are going to get, like, OBJ's going to get like 10 catches a game. Chubb's going to touch the ball like 20, 25 times a game. And Njoku's got to get like 6 catches a game. So just on pure volume, chances are Landry's going to get what, like 6, 8 catches, maybe like 60, 70 yards. That's nice. That's not a starting caliber player, but that's the kind of player we're having like to go for now, instead of say like Emmanuel Sanders, Dede Westbrook, or we could have waited on a quarterback, because this is when like Lamar Jackson, Drew Brees, Cam Newton, Jimmy Garoppolo all went basically in the next round, in round 10. We could have waited on Roethlisberger, gotten somebody up higher, but instead we're taking this guy. Okay, so I like Landry, but he's a low upside play. He doesn't get the end zone enough, so he's just a guy. Then we took some defensive players. I mean, I like Keanu Neal. He's a top 5 safety. I like Bobby Wagner. He's a top 5 linebacker. I like Danielle Hunter. He's a top 5 defensive lineman. Levante David helped Sarah win a championship last year. You got Jordan Hicks for a 3rd linebacker, I guess because you like to cycle through them. Again, good defensive players. Okay, good starters. They're starters, so I get it. I would have liked, though, if you had mixed in some depth pieces, though, because there were some good like depth offensive players you could just like kind of roll the dice on and maybe see if there's something there. Cortland Sutton, Marvin Jones, maybe we want to roll the dice on like DK Metcalf, Larry Fitzgerald. Just sprinkle in some offense and defense. Just not just going straight defense to fill in the starting lineup. Because while you got like top 5 players at each position, again, your flex isn't good, and your bench is bad. Your bench is bad because basically we're filling out the bench at the end. So we're taking like Rex Burkhead, who's like the 71st running back, and probably, goodness me, like the 4th running back option on the Patriots, because I got him behind Sonny Michel, and then James White gets the passing, and then I got Damian Harris backing up Michel. So yeah, Burkhead's like the 4th running back on the Patriots. We got Nelson Aguilar, who 2 years ago was a top 25 receiver. Okay. But that was due to touchdowns, and so last year he ran to touchdown regression, and now I have him as like the 79th receiver because everyone in Philly's healthy now. Alshon Jeffrey's there. Deshaun Jackson's now showed up suddenly. Zach Ertz is healthy. We got a bunch of running backs just like the stupid Patriots, so Miles Saunders, Jordan Howard, freaking Josh Adams, Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood. Jesus. So yeah, where does Aguilar fit in that line of offensive playmakers? I don't know, like 4 or 5. That's why he's in the 17th round. That's not where I want to build up depth. I don't want to be building up depth on these guys. These guys can be cut, and I can find probably better players on free agency. Case in point, Corey Davis available right now. Case in point, Jamal Williams. I don't like Jamal Williams, but he's one Aaron Jones injury away from starting and like getting 20 carries a game. There's a much higher likelihood of that happening than there is of Nelson Aguilar being a top 50 receiver. Your last pick, you took Jerick McKinnon just because you needed another running back. It's so sad, the fall from grace McKinnon has had. He was my 2nd round pick last year, and then he blew out his ACL. Now he's going in the last round of the draft, and he hasn't even started practicing yet because his ACL is starting to flare up again already. He hasn't even played. So I don't think you can really count on him because he's not even like ready for the season. He has had a whole year to get his ACL ready, and it's not. But you need a running back, so you took him. He's like my 65th running back because I don't think he's gonna be healthy because his knee has not gotten right since he blew it out. Yeah, so we started off really, really well, and then we kind of threw in a couple Steeler wrenches in there, and it kind of just messed up the rest of the draft. So I think this team is on the outside looking in. I don't think it's a playoff team. As much as I like the core of this team, that top 4, as great as I think it could be, this team has no depth. This team really needs depth. You need a flex starter. You need some guys off the bench who you can, if there's an injury, you can plug in and play and just kind of get by with. Your defensive players are good. You need running backs. Let's call like I see it. You need running backs. All right, Jerick McKinnon, you can probably drop right now today because he hasn't practiced and his knee's no good. And until someone sees him on the field actually performing, he's not worth anything. Rex Burkhead's the 4th running back on the Patriots. I mean, I guess we can keep him because he's a running back and he's an injury away to like Sonny Michel or Damian Harris of mattering again in fantasy. But until that injury actually occurs, he's not going to see the field enough. So we need running backs. But the running back pool is so shallow, you're going to have to trade for something. But you don't really have the depth to be trading anything, which means you'd have to trade one of your stars for something, which defeats the purpose of having your core in the first place, because you gotta surround your core with depth. You gotta do that, and I just don't. For funsies, you went and you got your tight end in the 5th round because you want him, and you got your quarterback in the 6th round, so you got guys you like, but it really messed up your draft. I think for now you're starting McCoy as your flex. I think your defensive players are really good. Whew, but this bench, man, like Jarvis Landry, Rex Burkhead, Nelson Aguilar, Jerick McKinnon, they're all guys. They're just, I could cycle through. If they don't perform very quickly within like the first week or 2 or 3, I'm cutting all of them, and I'm cycling through guys on free agency to find depth, because you really, really need that depth. If something were to happen to Hopkins, you're dead in the water before your season even begins. So yeah, I don't think this team is a playoff team, but I don't think it's far on the outside looking in considering some of the other teams. I think because your core is so strong, I think this team might be right now like the ninth best team in the league, so maybe 10th, ninth or 10th, somewhere around there. So you're just on the outside looking in at the playoffs. You have pieces for sure. If you can just work free agency, just find a starting flex. If you can find a flex, you got a really good shot at making the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs, you have the horses who could possibly take you far. I mean, Vivian got to the finals basically on two guys, and then she lost one of the guys, so it was one guy. But she got there. I guess maybe two guys, because technically the third banana was Tyler Lockett, who came on strong. But still, you got to find depth. I don't know who that's going to be. Maybe Jarvis Landry turns into a top 20 receiver and becomes your flex. Maybe Rex Burkhead, something happens to Sonny Michel, and Damian Harris and Burkhead becomes what he was last year, and he gets that opportunity, and he's seeing 15 carries a game. Maybe Jerick McKinnon takes over the number one job for the 49ers. I have no idea. But that's the kind of thing you're going to have to be looking for, because I don't think McCoy's going to be your flex. He's going to be a very good flex. McCoy's probably one of the worst flex in the league. And you're going to have to wait on Singletary. Singletary's just... He's competing right now, but he's not used to the speed of the NFL. Therefore, they're not going to give him enough play. Maybe he can become your flex in the second half of the season, but you got to get there first. You got to start off, get some quick wins. So, yeah, I think this team's a little worse than Brian's team, who I just gave an average score to, because I think Brian's a playoff team. I think Brian's right around 6 or 7, seventh best team in the league. I think you're 9 or 10th. But your core's so strong, I would hate to not see you in the playoffs. So I'm not giving you a below average grade either. I think I'll give you a C-, because it's not that far off. You're really close to being a playoff team. And your top four is very, very strong. And Roethlisberger is a starting quarterback in our league. And McDonald's a starting tight end. So really, you do have 6 good players. But you got to find that flex. You got to build some depth. Because injuries happen, and if something happens to... I don't think anything will happen to Hopkins. I don't think anything will happen to Evans. And I think Lindsey's relatively healthy. But Kerryon Johnson is definitely not the healthiest guy. And having my next running back up being LaShawn McCoy, and then having to play Jarvis Landry as my flex if that were to happen, is not a good scenario to go down. And that is there's a very high likelihood of that happening with Kerryon Johnson's injury history. So be very careful. Go out and find some running backs. Spend some money. Get Jamal Williams, who's out there right now. Pick up Corey Davis, who I just dropped, for Jerick McKinnon, who basically serves no purpose. Gosh, I can go down. Let me go look at players who are available right now. Goodness. Yeah, Kiki Cutie, who Vivian dropped. Good player. You could pick up Golden Tate, who's suspended, but will probably be the number one receiver. Adam Humphries is pretty good. Traquan Smith with the Saints. Just, these are guys with upside who have the possibility of being more, and I think they have a greater possibility than some of the guys you picked on the back end. David Montgomery's one Le'Veon Bell injury from being relevant. This is what you're going to have to do to build the back end of your bench, to find that flex to get you in the playoffs. But I'm giving you a C-. My advice for you, Patrick, would probably be go back to doing what you usually do, which is boom or bust, and don't fall in love with guys you like but don't have that upside. I'd much rather you just boom or bust it than be like, oh, I really like Roethlisberger, so I'm going to reach 3 or 4 rounds early to take him. Look at the board. Mahomes and Kyler Murray are the only quarterbacks taken. Chances are the next quarterback taken is not going to be Roethlisberger. Even if you really want him before a quarterback run starts, just keep an eye out for when someone takes a quarterback. I guess Matt Ryan was the next quarterback taken. But then no one really took a quarterback for a little bit. The quarterback run didn't really happen until like the 10th round because I preach waiting on quarterbacks anyway. So if you really like Roethlisberger that much, and he's been your quarterback a lot, so you really do like him, just be aware of where he is on the board. You know that, though. You were just doing this for fun, which is fine. That's what fantasy football is. You just create a little extra work for yourself. You don't have a playoff team right now, but I believe you can make it because you just got to find that depth. You got to find that piece, that missing flex piece. Because, man, oh, man, if Hopkins, Johnson, Evans, and Lindsay are healthy going in the playoffs, you could wreck some teams. Yeah. But you got to get there, and you got to get the depth to get through the bye weeks to get there. So we'll see. But yeah, that's my only advice, because other than that, like, you picking out the back end, you've more or less perfected that. You know how to work it. You know what people are looking for. You know which players are going to fall. You take receivers high because they have lower variance than the running backs who are taken. You don't feel the need to reach for running backs, and you get starter-worthy running backs anyway. So all that's good. I'm good with all of that. Just my only advice to you is just like don't reach on quarterbacks, which you already know. And don't reach on tight ends either. Like, that's silly. You probably, if you really wanted, you could have maybe taken Roethlisberger in the 5th round. I wouldn't have agreed with it, but you could have done that and then really waited on McDonald for like a while. Like like maybe another 5 rounds possibly. So, yeah, there was no reason for that. I don't know what the desire to take a tight end before a flex is. The flex is going to get me more points anyway. So that's really the questionable pick of the draft, even more so than Roethlisberger. So just bear all that in mind, but I know you're already aware of it. I know you're going to work during the season. I know you're going to be a contender. You're always a contender with these boomer bust guys anyway. So I'm not worried about you. Just don't think it was one of your better drafts. But I know you're going to be there competing for the playoffs, and chances are, with my luck, I'll probably be meeting you and running into this boomer bust Dalvin Cook having a monster day crap. So, yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, C-, maybe ninth or 10th best team. I haven't looked at all the teams, so I'd have to figure it out. But I do like Devin Singletary, and if you can just find a way to hold on to him until the second half, that could really make your year. Other than that, that's all I got to say.